Welcome to another special marching rock-and-roll, yours truly rock-and-roll. Aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst, and theorist. Going on the marching towards the mountain already, more than 93 minutes in my march. It was sunny, now it's cloudy. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all those involved in the distribution, production of food, and daycare workers who change some diapers, bus drivers, electricians, plumbers, welders, grocery store clerks, going all the way to the top of the mountain, Mount Royal. Today, Thursday the 6th of that march, celebrating 5 years. 5 years since I had COVID. When between February 7th and March 24, 2020, 5 years ago, I got hit by COVID and I died in my underground room off Sun Temple there in the Dragon's Lair. I would say I died during COVID, and COVID for me was really hardcore. I really thought that was my last chapter. I said that's my last chapter. And somehow I survived. Credit my surviving 50-50, I guess, to the goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S, and the vaccines, a little bit of spirituality, mystic occult, and that science, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and you know what it is. It's a special Dragon versus Trump edition. Half an MRO challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and here it is. Gotta cross my head, turn my head left or right before I cross the street, because you never know. Sometimes the brakes malfunction, the electricity for the brakes, and the citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brakes. So since I'm in the public, I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations that I do not normally have under the normal circumstances, and that's what it is with that. And here I get to pass, going straight to the mountain from a different side, different angles, Montreal, Hawk Island, same island of which I was born in several past times, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman. You get that win now. You get that 50-50, androgynous, pansexual, artist, athlete, philosopher, people's artist, athlete, AA. Who's got, I had plenty of time to cross the street, so that's what it is. We're heading east, coming from the west. I got a little bit of a glimpse. I'm in a good mood, I was a bit moody. I might not have internet connection for like maybe a day or two, so my anonymous friend gonna get something done. So that's LOVE. If I make $1, $1 million, $1 trillion, gonna give 50% without hesitation to my anonymous friend. And I will to say that I am financially stressed, but always open for business, having Asperger's, a neurological mental divergent condition which makes me part of a tiny minority of citizens throughout the world who live with this HFA, is also known as HFA, high functioning autism, and it's Asperger's is a special neurological mental divergent condition which is often misunderstood and misconstrued and misdirected as a mental illness, which is not. It is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes me and many Aspies predisposed to special interests. We are super focused, super dedicated, and super concentrated, and one of my special interests is fitness and sports. Dancing is my favorite fitness and sport activity, and have been involved for many years, ever since I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and I got out of being depressed and suicidal. If you don't know what I'm referring to, is that, of course, back in 2017 I crossed Canada coast to coast, and that event in my life made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and this Quebec Canadian who was born in the USA 3 times post 70-76 and served twice in the United States Army. It once was born a woman, twice a man, and now you get that 50-50. But back then, before that, I was depressed, I was suicidal, and crossing Canada, when I reached Banff in Alberta, I saw the mountain ranges. I was like, whoa, I had such a revelation, illumination. I said, so much to see here in the true north, strong and free, And I do have a Canada tattooed on the arm, Canada tattooed on the arm, but don't ask me when I had it, probably decades ago. So I'm just gonna point out, because you can see from here already, you can see one of the peaks. Peaks of the mountain. That is actually what we're seeing there is West Mount, which is one of the peaks of the Three-peak mountain system, Mount Royal, where my second home is, at the Belvedere Conjuring Act. So always encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. And again, special Dragon versus Trump. I have him and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border in the backpack. I got that red backpack, which I'm auctioning for in the mint to give 50% half to my anonymous friend, you know, who got me those gloves. I got those gloves, red gloves in the backpack. And of course, I was gifted those gloves by an anonymous friend a few years ago, right when I commenced challenging Donald Trump in 2018 to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. And that's what it is with that, on the Canadian-US border. And since then, I have been challenging Donald Trump on a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. And I will to build together a Canadian joint, you know, a Coliseum, a North American Imperial Coliseum. Let it be a North American Imperial Coliseum. 11 times, then the greatest, biggest NFL stadium on the Canadian-US border, to have sports activities, fitness activities, dancing 24/7 on the Canadian-US border. Let's go NFL, National Football League, millionaires, owners, players, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Let's build it on the Canadian-US border. Let's build it on the Canadian-US border, build it. Public-private partnership, firefighters, LOV. Somebody gotta sing some of that good rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect, including me and you. Somebody gotta sing that. Rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect as me and you. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance for security, service, and defense. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance for security, service, and defense is the call to all willing, loving, blah, blah, blah. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance is the call for the North American Collective, the public-private partnership. My dream, support a dream. It's fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American Collective civilizational complex. Across North America, Canada, US joint, not in a 51st state proposition, but what I gotta say is the 51st state. I don't know about that, although 15% supported. I believe my way to have a common passport, common currency, do a great census and integrate for security, service, and defense. And please sign some executive orders to raise the minimum wage to rebuild the North American infrastructure, especially in the urban cities, aka the ghettos need to be rebuilt. Across North America, mass infrastructure. My DRT theory, debt refusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange, Unibest. Dragon, DRAG, where's my dragons at? Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Nobody's born a dragon. Not even myself, nobody is born a dragon, not even myself, you know, not even myself. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. And that's what it is now, you know, seeing all these cars, all these highways, meditating on the highways, the truckers, Hydro-Quebec, you know, all the electricity which we have. We need to build more dams. I gotta get some salutations, some of that good rock and roll. For the truckers, firefighters, butchers, and the bakers, and the nurses on the clock. You know that the hawk, HWK, Dragon Rainbow. Gotta play it as I go, you know that freestyle rock and roll. I can go on freestyling rock and roll because that's my special interest, eh? I'm an artist, athlete, financially stressed, but hey, is that geopolitics 24/7 geopolitics? Sports, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll, and that's my holy trinity of obsessive interest, and here I am as I go, you know, all the way to the mountain. Gotta send some of that LOV, you know. Somebody gotta make some of that good loving, and somebody making that good loving today. IHOPE, hope, you know. Otherwise, what are we fighting to say for, you know? The civilizational complex, the North American civilizational complex of North America. What are we fighting to say for? You know, we gotta get on that go for the XYZ, and that's how we gotta get drilling with that, and we gotta go to the mountain. Canada, United States, fusion, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom way. And no tariffs, that was a mistake. Just like it was a mistake 10% on aluminum and steel in 2018. That's when I kind of got into politics. Got into politics, you know. And that's when I got into politics for the first time. I stayed out. I was just coming out of being depressed, being suicidal. Cross Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal back then, and that's what it is for that, and that's what it is for the do, and that's what it is for the do. So that's why I gotta get a LOV, somebody making a big smile, and it's always on that good smile for that love, and maybe somebody that knows me or partially knows me, you know, I guess, maybe from interactions, you know. sometimes, you know, lost a lot of friends in the past years. I made a lot of friends, especially at the Pride parades, being part of the LGBTQ community. But with Asperger's, people with Aspies like myself, we have difficulties in certain areas, social interactions and other things in the social understanding, and there could be a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of miscommunication and a lot of the things that, of course, are on the more difficult side for us XYZ. And gotta get it for watching for my friend and their citizen, because when you're here, you know, you're my family wherever you come from. If you're Canadian here coming to Canada, gotta treat you the same, you know, and gotta watch it for my XYZ to not the eyes like a hawk when you cross the street, to get it on the go and get it on the XYZ like that. So gotta be careful. So my brothers and sisters here, citizens, wherever we come here, you know, to make sure we got each other's backs, you know, because the cars sometimes come fast, and gotta give it from the XYZ, and we gotta get it on the do, you know. And people do the same for me, but sometimes my vision is blurred, and I wasn't sure if it was a man, a woman, or whatever. Just thought somebody wanted to cross, and you know, the cars I kind of calculated in my head. You know, mathematics, I know a little bit of mathematics, volume and stuff like that, but I guess it wasn't far away. But sometimes I just, on the road, you know, and I'm on the road like this, I always be on that prudent side, so I always get it prudent for my fellow citizens, you know, to be like, when they cross the street, to be prudent, you know, just be careful when you cross the streets, and that's what it is with that. So that's what it is with that, and you gotta be prudent. And you know, I'd rather be seeing people making love, good loving and dancing and fitness. That's what I might joy to prefer people doing. And you know, Dragon versus Trump, 24/7 since 2018. Financially stressed, financially struggling, survived COVID. Gotta say my gratitude, grateful, thankful. My rent's paid my rent for the month of March. Got some food, got some leftovers earlier, got some beans. You know, I got a little bit of beans, and it was on special, two bags for $2.22, so you had to buy two to get the special. $1.11. $1.11 each bag, so I bought one for me, one for we're actually gonna share 50-50 to my anonymous friend called Sister. Well, I'm gonna propose again, and gonna get that proposal again with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and gotta get on that proposition, you know. I got 4 seconds. 2, 3, 1. Just in time, I guess. Yeah, just in time, you know. Here we are on that go, and that's how we gotta get it on the do is for that. And here we go for the XYZ, and that's how we get doing with LOVE, you know. And gotta cross on that street prudent, and it's 8 degrees today, so it's a bit on the hot side, a bit of normal, baby, by a few degrees. And we had a big snowstorm, there's still lots of snow, so grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee. Rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee. Rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and got those 2 bags, $1.11 Canadian each. So that's gonna be my little treat when I go. Today's gonna be a long one. I gotta clock in more than 6.5 today, or 7 today and 6 tomorrow. I'm gonna try to aim for 7 today. I left it exactly, was 1 minute to 3 p.m. about 1 minute for 44 seconds to 3 p.m. So I gotta clock in by 10 back home. At least 7 hours gonna clock in today. It's gonna be a long route, not a whole video, because can't film that long, because it doesn't allow, of course, the filming for 7 hours videos. But who's gonna watch anyways? I only get the people watching only my 93 seconds, 1 minute 56 rock and roll songs, rather than my long, more than 2 hour videos of marching rock and roll for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, warehouse workers. How about the warehouse workers? Global Dragon Union, let's go. Pledge your allegiance, Legion. For the North American Collective Workers Party, let's go. Strike. Pledge your allegiance, Legion, for the North American Collective Workers Party. We gotta get it for the Arbeit, you know. Arbeit for the electricians, the plumbers, the welders, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the public transportation, those dock workers, dock, railway workers, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, construction workers, LOV to the construction workers, bus drivers, and train conductors with that choo-choo, you know how we do it. Gotta put some dragon flag there. Dragon flag, that's the Quebec Canadian flag. We need to put that US. Don't know about that 51st state. That was a mistake. And posing tariffs, you know. I got upset. I said, invite us properly. I'm no Trump supporter. I'm no Trump supporter. Would have voted Kamala Biden or Kamala, each, whatever, which one, Kamala Harris or Biden. I would have voted for either or. Of course, this Quebec Canadian who was born in the USA in past lives, previous incarnations. Past lives, previous incarnations, you know, 3 times post 76. And I served in the United States Armed Forces when I was born as a man twice, 2 times, in 2 different wars, 156 years apart. And here we are, here at this intersection, marching to the mountain, special dragon versus Trump, challenging Donald Trump to fight me on the Canadian-US border in a boxing match, and have been since 2018. Thank you for the gloves. To my anonymous friend, you know we got to build. And let's say Donald Trump say I made a mistake and I should have invited my fellow Canadians properly. Invite Canadians properly, you know, to join 51st state, to fuse in verse 51st state, invite properly. Say I'm gonna throw biggest parties ever across the 50 states, gonna throw some marching bands and dancing and cheerleading chorus and cheerleading songs like in the NFL and the leagues, sports leagues of the universities and the high schools cheerleading, you know, and some of those marching bands are going to throw across the 50 states, from high schools to universities to the NFL and all the leagues, some parties, some invitations from the proper way, and finance tourism, mass tourism, so that Canadians come and see the 50 states, and now my brothers and sisters from the USA come and see Canada. Through North, strong and free, yes, but freedom and strength is not enough. Gotta have some LOV. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent, brothers and sisters. Where's the king? Where's the king? Where's the king? The king is absent. Time for the republic. The king is absent. Time for the republic. The king is absent. Time for the republic. My dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. For the North American Collective, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, and gotta get it rolling. I wonder, you know, how it's going now with the truckers. And you know, I remember when I see laundry, when I used to do laundry, you know, sometimes I used to go here, or in my neighborhood, because this is part of my own neighborhood. Nothing that I will to go back to, but that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the ghost. So it's XYZ with that, and you know, somebody get a ticket, you know, my contested, whatever, but can get a ticket. I just drive these shoes, by the way, auctioning the shoes, you know. So auctioning the shoes, the pants, the underwear, and you know, we got public-private responsibilities, and we need to have some taxation, especially for the millionaires, billionaires. Let's get that 10%, whatever the case may be. Let's get that 10%. 10%. Maybe be a compromise, you know, to get a 10%. And let's get, instead of the tariffs, 25% tariffs. Gotta get it for the 25%. Gotta get it 25% instead of that. Just do some billions and billions investment for tourism, you know, see Canada. My DRTT best, my Dragonomy initiative, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership as a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrism. My centrism is tied hand in hand. As a philosopher, is North American centric. It's tied in hand with my democratic republicanism, or republican democratism, you know, dragonism. And yours truly, Dragonomy, to be coast to coast, ocean to ocean, for security, service, and defense only, security and service and defense principles, integrated with all existing establishments, security establishments, integrated with all ALL security establishments. We've got to get that coast to coast. I heard there was a project developed for the defense of the sky, and you know, I want in on that. I want in on that action. Parallel with the Hawk, H-A-W-K, for the North American Collective, NORAD Hawk, part of my initiative as well, and calling for Operation Northern Hawk, H-A-W-K, because we got lots of hawks. My totem bird, Hawk, H-A-W-K, totem bird, Hawk, with Operation Northern Scorpio, and that's a Golden Dome project announced by President Trump 2 days ago. I still got to listen because was busy and stressed. And with Asperger's, I have a very rigid kind of routine, but I can be pretty flexible sometimes. But still, I gotta have my routine of marching and dancing and workout and geopolitics and rock and roll. So, which kind of is most of my time involved for many years now in those three activities or areas of activities in one way, shape, or form. And I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the current situation, the international conflagration which is transpiring now. Although back in 2019, in October, November, I predicted an international conflagration across the world based on several levels of deep and level analysis, in depth with many details, keen. But the main premise or the main common denominator, or if one of the fundamentals, was that due to the fact that many nation states, regions, and civilizations were not able fully to resolve their conflicts, which dated from the 20th century and even the Cold War, that there's gonna be a restart. They're gonna recommence. They're gonna reignite those conflicts from the 20th century. Those conflicts from the 20th century. That was my premise. One of the main common denominators. There are deep levels of analysis, but I have proof of work, because I got it online and I have created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such a scenario. I changed my name. Officially, yes, still gotta pay, because locking down money finance, but got trillions of kisses. By those trillions of kisses, I laid the foundations for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American collective civilizational complex, across the North American civilizational complex, Canada, US, a fusion in a public-private partnership way, And of course, I predicted international conflagration, but yes, there are security matters, and we are open for vulnerabilities and protocols, and we're vulnerable for interior attack and sabotage from external powerful forces. But nonetheless, being that those external powerful forces, we got to get that complementary Dragonomy public-private partnership initiative. I know integrate with my CIT. Citizen integration theory, the citizen integration theory for the collective, fundamentally for a public-private partnership. That's the line, L-I-E-O-N, line, that's the name, L-I-O-N, line, like this line right here. That's an electric bus. So let's finance a few electric buses like that and invite us probably so that we Canadians can visit the 50 states. My brothers and sisters can visit. Can visit from the States, can visit Canada, That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on the XYZ, So it's something which we just gotta do, So it's something which we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta implement, the Trinity of theories, So that's how it is, XYZ and that, and that's how we gotta get doing, So that's why we gotta get on that love, Sometimes gotta get some LOV. To the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, those involved in the production, distribution of food, That's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get complimentary, So it's something which we gotta do, which we gotta get that LOV, man, and sometimes we just gotta admit, myself included, I am at certain things mediocre, average, so-so. My Asperger's has made many obstacles. I've suffered and cried, was suicidal, was depressed, survived COVID, God is thanks, and now I'm just joyous, and now I'm grateful. Financially stressed, financially struggling, but hey, my Trinity theory is best. I know it's part of the solution, not all, especially the DRT theory, which I'm gonna discuss.